And boom, here we are. Jake, what's going on, my friend?
I'm doing great, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, fantastic. Here we are. We're up and working. Finally, we got it working. We got all the kinks kicked out.
It's good, man.
Well, where are you joining me from today? Let's set the
Uh,
stage real quick.
yeah, so I'm at my home office here. This is where I shoot the majority of my content. Um, Wish I could have been there in Dallas today with you, but had some other things that were a bit
In
more pressing.
spirit. In
Yeah,
spirit. I
definitely
mean,
in spirit.
this actually works better because I love your background. I love the way that looks. I love that we were both able to get our things going. It actually looks pretty damn good, if you ask me.
Yeah, it worked out.
It did.
Uh,
It did. Awesome. Well, today's really exciting, right? I think we've been working on putting this together for a long time. And oh, I think I'm losing. Yep. Okay, I'll just have to stay here. So, um, we've been looking at doing this for a long time, right, Jake? And we've been trying to pull this together. I know we've done a lot together so far. We'll go into that, but this is going to turn into a longer podcast. So first, let's kind of touch on that we're going to go into a podcast, and then we'll go into some teasers that we're going to talk about. But let's go into, when do you think that's going to drop? By the way.
we'll probably have it out by the weekend here. Today's Thursday, so maybe sometime this weekend we can get it out to people.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, let's start to get into some of those teasers. I think that there's a lot to talk about, right, Jake?
For sure. There's a lot of stuff that you guys are working on, a lot of stuff that we're working on, and then there's kind of the middle ground, a lot of synergies between us, and how we've been able to work together up to this point. So, um,
Absolutely.
where do you want to start?
Well, man, I think first let's talk about let's talk through some intros, because I think let's set the stage for,
Yeah.
because we both have some different communities. I know we've overlapped a lot. I know that we've had some of our community has joined us at, we can see it from here actually
Hmm.
right there. So we've done some really cool stuff together. So why don't we go into a little intro? So why don't you give us an intro, Jake? Who you are,
Yeah.
what you do? Yep,
Sure. For people that may not be familiar with me, so
yep,
I'm
yep.
managing director for Digital Ascension Group. We are a multifamily office that specializes in crypto. We currently have the only RIA globally that I'm aware of that will give you advice on your digital assets. We take them in kind. We provide institutional grade custody there at Anchorage, which you're familiar with. Do segregated accounts, bankruptcy remote, insured, separated. You remain in control of your assets with the oversight of an advisor. We provide institutional grade products that you can use to put those assets to work, generate cash flow, be able to borrow against those assets. And then we provide all the other professional services that might be around that, whether it's the accounting, CPAs, tax filings, tax attorneys to be able to mitigate those taxes. And then additionally, outside of that, the estate planning that you might want to orchestrate with insurance products and other things within that scope. So, kind of a full service, full meal deal when you need professional services when you come into a lot of wealth in your investments in digital assets.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. How do you do it all? No, we won't get into that yet. We're gonna go into that later. But just I'll give a little bit of background for
Yeah.
who we are. So, Bank Social, we're kind of doing, there's a lot of adjacent stuff we do. We build that stuff for banks, right? So that's kind of our differentiators. We build those similar types of tools to deploy into banks and financial institutions so that they can really become a way for us to plug people like your solutions and things like that, right? Whether those are RIAs or whatever that is, that experience layer, so that it happens within that environment of the bank, but it's backed by like teams like us, right, Jake? Like RIAs, and because the banks don't get in, they don't become their own RIAs, they don't become their own kind of full ecosystems, right? Most of the time, unless it's the big ones like Chase and those kinds of guys. But go ahead. What were you going to say? Something?
No, no. We've got some housework going on, so
Oh no.
just making sure that wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, thanks, thanks. Okay, so so we bundle all that up, we build all that software, and we deploy that. Some of that we do direct to consumer. We've got some cool stuff coming out here soon that'll enhance what we provide to the consumer. But at the end of the day, what we put into the banks is for consumers as well. So Um, that's got, I think, top level for both of us. But let's talk a little bit deeper than that and go into why we're doing what we're doing and why we're focused on the digital asset space, because there's a broader vision for the reasons why you and I are here today.
For sure.
And I think let's dive into that. So from the perspective of traditional finance, I mean, I know what was your earliest foray into kind of crypto? Like, where did you start in this new digital asset space? Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so I'd gone to school for finance at the University of North Texas, and I really didn't use that much. I had a short stint at Northwestern Mutual right out of college, and I really just didn't enjoy shilling insurance products and talking about death and like all the stuff that goes along with that most of the time. And so I stepped away from that and did some industrial sales, and then I got into some M&A work. And when the market fell in 2020 is when I jumped in with both feet. I watched my dad miss out on American Airlines at like 79 cents in '08. And
Man.
so I was like, okay, well, this is an opportunity. I'm going to deploy capital here, rode the market back up. And about, I don't know, April, May, so I guess about June of 2020, I looked to diversify from traditional investments after I had doubled my money pretty quickly, and was looking to hedge, maybe get into gold and silver, real estate. And I watched a debate between Peter Schiff and a Bitcoin guy. And that's when the light bulb moment happened for me. I understood why people were so crazy back in 2017 during the bull run. My brother had got in and turned $5,000 into like 200,000 in a matter of weeks, and he didn't take profit. He thought it was going to 1 million, and obviously it ended up losing it all. But
What was the asset? What was the asset?
I don't even remember now. It was some obscure meme coin layer one.
Okay, all right. Convertible something somewhere. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. It happens. It happens.
So anyway, that was when I kind of it clicked over for me, and I understood that these were networks that were moving value, and they were protocols
That's
that would be
exactly right.
used for the next iteration of the internet.
That's
And
exactly
so
right.
that's when I started doing my research and deploying capital into different assets, and made a bunch of money in 20 and 21. And that's kind of what led me, to what I do now. Sought out all these services for myself personally. And when I was able to, fill those gaps on my side, I started talking about this publicly, and most people gave me the deer in the headlights look, like, what do you mean you can mitigate taxes and set your estate up and structure stuff in a way to benefit you? And so now we've curated all of these services for other people with all the advisors that I had initially kind of sought out for myself. So that's kind of my story, my background on how I ended up in this space. But yeah, we build things in the space also, looking to tokenize private investment, other RWAs, and put things on chain. And obviously that benefits our investments in the space. If there's more value on chain and there's more value moving, then some of those assets that we're invested in should also see some appreciation because of that. So I don't know if that's kind of your thought process behind
No,
what
I
you
think
do as
that's
well.
exactly right. No, I think that's exactly right. I think there's many layers to this new kind of this new because really a lot of this is a shift in how we trust and share data, right?
Yep.
Value, because data is value. Like that's a part of the value chain, right? So value can be financial value, it can be, but really at the end of the day, like you don't go to the store or do anything really without exchanging value,
Right.
right? Whether that's value that you've stored and it's in gas in your car, but all these different ways are going to start to, with AI and with everything that happens, is really going to start to align. And we see the world very similar to the way you see it. We look at how we can also, put the AI capabilities like we have, and the security and the recovery features that we'll talk about, right? Like how we've been working, Jake, for the last few months, which has been really great. We really love you guys and your communities. And so, how do we layer those pieces into the equations so that just like Anchorage, right? Like that's Anchorage's goal too. They look at a certain part of the ecosystem and they're working on the same thing. And so we feel like one of our bigger differentiators, just generally in the space of fintech to regulated institutions is that focus on security, soundness, robustness, utilizing a myriad of technologies, including blockchain, AI, to deliver experiences like what you guys have, the RIA experience, in a way that also has the soundness and the security of what needs to underpin it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, again, you enter into certain relationships, and oftentimes there's a third party that you both trust, an escrow agent, some intermediary that's
Yep. Yep.
outside of the transaction. And that's what these protocols can provide so that you don't have to pay that intermediary or introduce that additional friction, right?
Especially during the time of value change. Like, I
Yeah,
think that's the biggest, like when value is being exchanged, that's the time when you need like the most removal of bias or
right.
interference, right? And that's what blockchains do extremely,
Extremely well.
extremely well. In a repeatable, coded, audible, immutable, what other bulls can we put behind that? It has all those factors. And so it's been exciting to connect with you and Max and Tori and your whole really incredible team and all the fantastic stuff you guys have been doing. And we've seen a lot of alignment. Um, you know, I think what we're both talking about here is infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
This is a new infrastructure to provide the services and features that everybody kind of does right now in a way that is ready for the future. Like we were talking with some banks about how interchange in the future could literally be like, even though somebody just wants to get a dollar, you look at how Sam Bankman Fried, bad word, we don't have to reference that. Maybe we cut it. It's live. We can't cut it. Oh no. But he made his money in arbitrage of Bitcoin, right?
100%.
Because
Yeah.
and that's the new world is that, but what it'll do is it'll stabilize prices, and that's what Bitcoin has kind of said, is by having these decentralized markets, right? That was part of the theory, I think, of Bitcoin, is by having these centralized markets, can you create more stability? And it's through that programmatic kind of leveling of where are the cheapest prices, and then things will adjust. So I think that a future where dollars don't, you're doing dollars to euro, but there's actually a cheaper route through Australia, and you can evaluate that in real time. That will stabilize markets. Like those are the types of things that we're looking at and working on. But it's really infrastructure, right, Jake? That's what you see too.
Yeah. Well, you'll have, again, it just removes all these frictions and routes payments the most efficient way, right? Where's the most liquidity? In which who in the market's going to match you directly? You have automatic market makers. People are used to this in the stock market, right? There's a deep order book and there's a lot of liquidity, so people are able to exchange value very quickly there. But there's a lot of other marketplaces or transactions that take place where that liquidity and that order book doesn't have the same depth that exists for traditional markets. And so I think you're going to see that happen across other ecosystems and in different places, that there just hasn't been liquidity for that in the past. And there's a lot of frictions and a lot of costs involved there, because the people that have orchestrated the ability to transact there are the gatekeepers, right? And these protocols alleviate all of that. It's going to take time. I think we're still probably another 5 years away from full integration of a lot of this technology into these nascent markets or places with less liquidity. But I think we're right on the precipice of a lot of banks adopting some of this technology with the stablecoin bill and things that are being passed right now. And yeah, really exciting time to see the velocity of money that's going to increase, and also the GDP that's going to increase once this technology is put into place.
Yeah, we see a lot of these governments and countries kind of moving faster. Like I was in Bolivia a few weeks ago at the duty free shop. Everything is priced in USDT. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? I've got pictures. Very cool. What a great place Bolivia was, and countries are starting to understand that these are mechanisms for when we talk to banks, the thing that keeps them from moving is how secure is it? How can we remain fraud free? And that's where we focus, right, Jake? Is how can we implement those features and those security features and all those pieces? And that's going to be a lot of what we're going to talk about in our podcast, right? We're going to do that podcast and drop that. I know we wanted to just go for about 15 minutes, and maybe we've got another minute or two. But I have a feeling that the podcast is going to be where the fire happens, and this was the teaser. Jake, do you have anything to add before we just jump over to doing our podcast that we'll release later this week or next
No, I
week?
don't think so. I think people are going to find it really engaging. We've had some people here in the chat just kind of go back and forth.
We got 300 people watching right now.
Yeah, they don't know who I am or don't know who you are if they're from my side. So I think
Yep.
this is going to be really compelling. It'll be a good collab.
Yep, we're really excited about it. All right, let's go jump to that podcast. You guys make sure you tune in for this because it's going to be some fire we're going to be dropping.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on the other side.
Later.
Thanks.